All right, Pickup Lab, what's on my mind? For the last several months, I've actually wanted to do something along the lines of relationship maintenance because I think that's something that doesn't get addressed nearly enough, and it's something I've always been really, really good at. Like, I've always been the guy that as soon as I'm sleeping with a girl, she's very attached, she's chasing, I have a lot of power within the relationship, I can do multiple long-term relationships. So something I've always been really good at. But it's a tough thing to describe because it's very nebulous, right? Pickup, it's very easy to do tactically, because you're in the same scenario every time. You walk up to the girl, you're starting from scratch, you're going to the same place, which is your house. The goal is always the same, which is sex, right? And so the rules are very well defined. The thing with relationship maintenance is that the rules are not so well defined, because what is your objective in this situation? Every relationship has a different history, a different vibe. What works in one situation won't work in another. So it's a lot harder to give very formulaic rules for. So what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to talk about relationship maintenance. I'm going to talk about one very specific scenario that's very important and very useful in a relationship. And this isn't just for a sexual relationship. It's actually for any relationship you're in. What I want to talk about, though, in order to make it not nebulous, to make it very specific, is we're going to focus on sort of a smaller scenario that's very critical to the relationship. And that is how to win an argument. And this is not just an argument with a girl. This is how to win any argument, right? What are the techniques to not get ambushed, to be on the front foot instead of the back foot in an argument, that sort of a thing. So let's look at an argument with your girlfriend. Now, most of the time, you're arguing because she brought something to you, right? That's just the nature of it. Most of the time, you're just going along, especially if the relationship's on good terms and you've set the groundwork, you're probably generally happy, right? You're probably generally happy and going along, and then the girl's coming to you occasionally like, I want more attention from you, I want more time from you, or you're seeing these other girls, why am I not enough for you? So most of the time, in my experience, the drama is going to be coming from her end, just because girls are always kind of negotiating and they always want more from you. Also, they're always going to test you, and they actually want you to pass those tests, okay? They want you to pass the tests, right? They want you to stay that strong man they're attracted to, but they also want you to engage with them. So a lot of times, if you're not giving them enough attention, they'll argue with you just to get attention. Does that make sense? It's kind of weird, right? Because it's the wrong kind of attention. But if you're a little disengaged, you haven't been giving them enough attention, they'll pick a fight just to see if you're emotionally engaged enough to fight with them. Because when the relationship's over, or when it's really going badly, you won't fight with them anymore. You'll just not give a shit, right? So they actually want a little bit of a fight back, and they want you to engage more than anything else, okay? In any case, most of the time, it's going to be the case that they're bringing the fight to you. And so because of the nature of that, usually you're on the back foot. You're like, oh, where'd this come from? What's going on? Why am I being attacked, etc. And you need to remember a few very important things. Important thing number one, hopefully, is you didn't do anything really wrong, okay? The fact that the girl's upset does not mean you did something wrong. It's not your job to make her not upset. It's your job to fulfill your obligations to her, okay? So if you've been doing right and she's upset, that's not your problem, that's her problem, okay? Understand, it's your problem as well, because you have to deal with it in the moment, but understand the fundamental issue is hers, not yours. And remember that you haven't done anything wrong, because when you're being accused of this, that, and the other, and you're getting nagged or bitched at, it's very easy to fall into this frame of being very defensive. And what you actually need to do is take the offensive. Because when somebody is accused of something and they're guilty, they spend all this time defending themselves and trying to work their story and come up with the right response and avoid divulging this and whatnot. If someone is confronted with something and they're not guilty, you know what happens? They don't even spend time defending themselves. They just get fucking angry, right? They get angry because they're annoyed to be falsely accused, and they're so confident that their story will hold up, they're not worried about the little details. And so the funny thing is, by being on the defensive and trying to logic your way through the argument, usually you're putting yourself in a bad situation. What you need to remember is, one, you didn't do anything wrong. Two, she's bringing drama to you. And three, if you didn't do anything wrong and she's bringing drama to you, she's the one in the wrong, okay? So a lot of times, if girl's bringing me some kind of drama or whatever, I'm like, hey, listen, okay, stop. First of all, let's look at where this is coming from. Second of all, let's look at the way that you're speaking to me right now and the way you're addressing me. Do you think that's right? Right? As soon as I've done that, all of a sudden the entire vibe has changed. The entire argument has changed, and now it's not I'm on the back foot because I'm being accused, and I'm having to deal with it, right? Now it's, listen, we have a relationship here. We have a relationship here. We both have our obligations to each other. What are you actually saying I did, right? That's the big thing. It's not about why are you feeling this way. It's about, wait. What did I actually do? And a lot of times, especially if you're not in the wrong on anything, like that's enough. And girl will apologize, back on your foot, and it actually gives you a lot of power and leverage within the relationship. Let's say you did do something wrong, okay? Now, here's what you need to remember, okay? So yeah, you did something wrong, you overstepped, you fucked up a little bit, fair enough. Remember, first of all, that she's not perfect either, and she has her fuck-ups and she's done things wrong too, okay? Keep that in the back of your mind, but here's what you really need to remember. What is the relationship? What is the nature of the relationship? It's that you are offering her value, right? She's deriving value from being with you. She's deriving good emotions, good sex, learning, support, all these different things. And so regardless of whatever's happened in the past, here's the equation at any given moment. She has the option of continuing to receive all those things from you or not. And if you are a high value person, if you're good within the relationship in general, regardless of whatever has happened in the past, regardless of whatever she's feeling in that moment, it is in her interest to maintain the positive elements of that relationship with you. So remember that you are someone who offers value. You are someone who, she is in the relationship with for a reason. She's gaining a lot from you. It's a positive influence on her life. And regardless of how she feels in the moment, regardless of what happened in the past, that is your leverage, okay? The true leverage in the relationship is the fact that you know that you're good for her overall. And she knows it as well. So say you had a little misstep, but you're a good boyfriend overall, or a good fuck buddy overall, or whatever the nature of the relationship. The misstep's great. Sure, she can get angry about it, and sure, she can be emotional about it. But when push comes to shove, you have to just be like, listen, this is how it is. I am who I am. You are who you are. We know what we know. Do you want to be in a relationship with me or not? You need to have the willingness to walk away, but you need to have that willingness with the confidence to know that she is better off having you than not. And when you have that, the willingness to walk away, and B, the confidence, it's again putting you on the front foot in the argument as opposed to being reactive. Because in an argument, the person who's reactive is the person who's going to make concessions, the person who's going to seem guilty, the person who's going to lose out in the argument. The person who's on the front foot, the person who's proactive, is the person who's going to do better, okay? So what I encourage you to do is A, recognize your value, and B, don't be on the defensive in an argument. Be willing to take the offensive, okay? Because someone who's being presented with something in error, someone who's being falsely accused, the natural inclination is to be a bit angry, okay? So if you're too reactive in the argument, it just makes you look guiltier, right? So take the front foot and realize the value that you have, and don't allow yourself to be henpecked. Don't allow yourself to be picked away at and negotiated with. What happens to a lot of guys in relationships is that they start off with a really good relationship, and the girl kind of henpecks them a little bit, and they make a little concession. And the girl henpecks them a little bit, and they make another little concession. And pretty soon, over a period of weeks or months or years, they end up in this relationship that's completely different than the one they agreed to because of all these little concessions. When you start to notice that you're making these concessions, stop and say, no, I'm not okay with this. And by the way, the earlier you start it and the more you put your foot down when it's just right in principle as opposed to when it's gone too far, the better off you're going to be. So as soon as the girl is accusing you for the wrong reason, or if you're making a concession just to keep her happy when you think you're in the wrong, don't do it, okay? It's a little like the story of the camel. I don't know if you know the camel's foot in the tent. It's an old Middle Eastern story. I'll tell it to you very quickly. It's kind of the metaphor for how girls act in a relationship. So they're out in the desert. There's the guy in his camel and he's in his tent, right? And the camel's like, it's kind of cold out here. Is it okay if I just put my foot in the tent? The guy's like, okay, yeah, it's just your foot, fine. And then next, a few minutes later, the camel's like, it's kind of cold. Can I put my leg in the tent? And you get where this is going. By the end of the night, the camel's in the tent and the dude's outside. All right? And it was just, a little toe, a little foot, a little leg. But it's the precedent. Because the girl will keep, if you encourage her, if she gets her way by bad behavior, by henpecking, by nagging, by guilting, those kind of things, and you let her do it, she will continue to do it because she's being rewarded for it. So it's very important that you not let that become a precedent, right? That you remember you have value, their right is right, you have done nothing wrong, and you don't deserve the guilting, right? Don't give in to just appeasing her because she feels bad. If she feels bad and you didn't do anything wrong, it's not your problem, it's hers, okay? So it's a little bit on how to deal with arguments and stuff like that. It actually sounds a little bit like I'm saying be very, very I am saying be strong, I am saying be firm, I am saying stand up for what you believe in. It sounds like it's a very hard and unloving. At the same time as you're doing this, you can let the girl know that you love her. In fact, you should. You should be nice, you should be emotionally positive, but but you also do need to have a firm line. So you can be like, babe, listen, I love you. Like, I want to be with you. You're fucking amazing. But what you're doing right now is wrong. You understand that, right? You understand that what you're doing right now, I didn't do anything wrong. You're guilting me, you're henpecking me. What did I do to deserve it? Nothing, right? This is not right. So I love you, but I hate the way you're acting right now. It's not acceptable. Do you understand, right? So you understand you are being nice, but you're being firm and you're standing your ground. That's very, very important. And also, you're not allowing yourself to just be on the defensive. Okay, so that's a little bit about how to deal with arguments, how to deal with relationship management. I hope you find it useful. Hopefully, it keeps you in a very positive relationship with a great girl instead of getting gradually into a negative relationship that eventually becomes toxic.